Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. This is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast. Don't forget to sign up to my website, powerfulinterviews.com. And I'm going to be doing an incredible interview with a billionaire. His name is Ramey. So stay tuned. Okay, everyone, I'm back. This is going to be a fascinating interview. So I highly recommend get your pen and your pads ready and take action on the information that you're going to learn from Billionaire, my great friend, Ramey. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you'll be notified when I publish more phenomenal outside the box interviews that's going to elevate your mind to a whole nother level.
Hi there.
Hey, Ramy, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm doing great. It's getting better each and every single day.
I'm here.
Where you calling in from?
LA.
Ah, okay. It's beautiful out there.
Yeah, it's a great. The weather's amazing all the time, which is really great.
Absolutely.
Can't go anywhere else for me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on my program, and I know this interview is going to be outside the box and amazing. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm glad I can do this.
All righty. Now you pronounce your name Ramy, correct?
It's actually Ramey.
Ramey. All righty. Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate it. And you're looking good out there in the beautiful LA sun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to be out here in the hills.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I know Beverly Hills out there is amazing.
Yeah. And Hollywood Hills even more.
Yes, absolutely. And also Bel Air is beautiful out there as well.
Yeah. It is. I don't think there's a place in California is not beautiful. Maybe I'm but yeah, it's California has so much. That's why they charge you so much taxes, because it's
Oh,
good
yeah.
there.
Yeah, so a lot of entrepreneurs, some entrepreneurs, they actually are moving from California.
They are, but I think they're foolish.
All righty. Okay, you ready to rock and roll? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast. And today I have another special interview for each and every one of you. Today I have a wonderful person on the show, and he's a great friend of mine. His name is Ramey. For those that don't know Ramey, let me explain to each and every one of you about this incredible, phenomenal man. Ramey, he is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and he educates entrepreneurs and business owners on a worldwide scale on how they can actually grow and scale their businesses to the next level. He is the owner of his phenomenal brand, which is called X LLC. And he wrote a phenomenal book, which I love the title, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? And that is an awesome, impressive resume. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the powerful Ramy to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
I'd like to thank you, Ramy, for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about the power of Think and Grow Rich and about your phenomenal book, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? I gladly appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's Think and Grow Rich has been a book that's been around for 100 years and probably made more millionaires than any other book ever written. And I picked up that book when I was 12 years old, and I read it 20 times. And that's when I left home, hitchhiked to Florida, and started building what I built. And because of that book, I was able to build a $1 billion net worth 3 times over. And that's why I called my book, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? And I love that it goes full circle, because now the Napoleon Hill Foundation endorses my book. The foundation who owns the rights to Think and Grow Rich. So, and they think it's one of the best books they've ever read, that applied those principles. So kind of lived it and did it for 48 years and proved that all those principles actually do work.
Now, can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, who is the phenomenal Ramy? How long you been in your powerful industry? And what would you say is your expertise?
Well, I'm just basically a serial businessman that just starts a lot of businesses, buy businesses, and then negotiate a lot of deals. I mean, my biggest expertise is definitely in negotiations, understanding how businesses work, and never giving up and making all these things do work. It doesn't matter what the industry is. Every business has basically the same principles, and I fully understand them, and I understand how to apply the principles I learned to make everything successful.
Wow. Now, you are the owner of your phenomenal brand, X LLC,
Right.
and you know how to structure phenomenal winning transactions. What is the process of putting winning transactions together?
Well, there's definitely it depends what it is. If it's building a company or negotiating a deal, it's always figuring out all the pieces that needs to come together to make something work. And I've always held a belief that everybody has to win. So every party has to win. If one party loses, it's not worth doing the deal. So if I start a company, the vendors win, the customers win, the finance company wins, I win. So that creates a really solid transaction. But if one person loses, then it's better to move on to something else.
Mm. Now, I was reading your impressive resume, and I know along your journey, you had a Saudi billionaire that
Right.
actually mentored you. Can you elaborate about that, and how did you develop that relationship?
Yeah, that's just part of like showing what those principles, thinking courage of persistence and never giving up, and the burning desire. So I saw him on television, Lifestyles and Rich and Famous, in the mid '80s, and he was the richest man in the world and doing $1 billion deals around the world. So I decided that's the guy I need to work with. So it took me about 2 years to find him, and then once I found him, another 2 years to convince him to let me work with him. But it was all worth it. But and once he said yes, that was it. Then we worked together for about 10 years, structured deals around the world, and so I made the first $1 billion. But it was all from just watching him on television. Decided this is a guy I need to work with, and then never giving up until I did find him and convince him.
And what's his name?
Adnan Khashoggi.
Mm. And what is he currently doing right now?
Well, unfortunately, he passed away about 5 years ago, but he did
Oh,
all the way till he died. He just negotiated deals between countries and big corporations, and he's a very powerful man.
wow. Now, Ramy, you actually hit, the billionaire status.
Right.
And I know a lot of billionaires, they're really focusing on becoming, the next trillionaires. Can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, what is the best advice that you have ever received?
Wow, that's a lot of advice. I think the biggest one is believe that you can. I mean, you become what you think of most of the time. So if you're thinking of being a doctor all the time and you read journals and treat patients, that's what you're going to be. If you're thinking of being a waitress and earning $400 or $500 a week. That's all you're going to limit yourself to. So it's really, I think the biggest thing is believe, if it's going to be $1 billion, believe that you can be a billionaire, and 100% believe it. And then it's amazing how your mind opens up and sees those opportunities to get you there. So that's probably the number one things. And then building a burning desire behind it, not just wanting and wishing, just really burning a desire. Never, allow any criticism or anything to stop you to get there.
Mm. Now, you generated over $50 million at the age of 23, and you had 6 car dealerships. Can you elaborate about that?
Yeah, I was at the time, I made the first million 17 with key centers, and then went broke a year later. But then I got into where people where the custom vans were very big in the early 80s. And I met somebody at one of the auctions for cars that wanted to buy more shells to build more custom vans, and I helped them do that. And then I realized the real money was in dealerships, because they made a lot of money, almost $10,000 a van when they were selling them. So I convinced the manufacturer of that van to advance me the $1 million to open up the first one, and then give me all the vans. And within 6 months, I had 6 dealerships and insurance companies and a whole bunch of things. So I was able to build within a very short period of time from being totally homeless back to about $50 million of net worth.
Mm. Wow. Now, what do you think that billionaires do on a consistent, regular basis that millionaires and hecto-millionaires, they just don't do in order to make that transition from a multi-millionaire to a billionaire? What do you think is the recipe?
The recipe is to always go all in. I mean, a lot of the millionaires, when they get the money that they have, they're afraid to risk it all, and think bigger. So they think they reached the level where they're satisfied with, and they stop. So I think it's really just thinking into that next level, and just like thinking grow rich is burn all your ships and stuff and risk it every time. Even though you might lose it, the possibility of you making it are greater. And if you lose it, if you made the millions, you could always make it back again.
Mm. Wow. So persistence is the key to becoming successful.
Persistence, and also believing in yourself that you can, and not be afraid. Get rid of any fear of losing. Because once you're afraid of losing anything, it cripples you.
Mm. Now, when you generated the 50 million when you was 23 years old, you had a net worth of 50 million, what did you do? Did you pretty much buy, a private jet, or, did you invest in exotic cars, or did you just started investing in, income producing assets that was bringing you in cash flow?
Well, at the time, the 50 million doesn't get you a jet, but it was, I did get the house and the car and stuff, but I just kept on growing my businesses. But again, that was a time when I saw Adnan Khashoggi on television. That's when I decided to sell everything I had and go after my goals. So I was willing to sacrifice that money. I was left to go after the one specific goal of working with Adnan Khashoggi and becoming a billionaire.
Mm. Wow. Now, you develop that belief system that you can become a millionaire and you can become a billionaire. And I love what the great Napoleon Hill said: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So when you read the book when you was 12 years old, and you just basically left your family and you was on your quest to build the lifestyle that you wanted to live, what was your thought process at that time when you left your family at 12 years old?
Well, the book changed the way I thought. It was basically like my Bible, how to live my life. So I was young enough and dumb enough to believe everything it said. So there was no influences outside. So when I left, it was just singularly focused to achieve what I wanted to achieve, and that's to become one of the richest men there was. And that book convinced me that I could. So there was no thought. Once I finished reading it enough times, I just packed up, hitchhiked, and went to Tampa, Florida, to end up there, because I knew that the opportunities were in America were the greatest. And I was in Montreal at the time. And
Mm,
so it just was I just knew that was going to be my journey. I had to fight, battle, be persistent until I finally won.
mm. Wow. Now, I know that billionaire Warren Buffett and his friend Charlie Munger, they are value investors. Would you say you fall into this sector now as being a value investor?
Uh, yeah, except I look for much greater returns because my goals are much bigger. So I do look for value, but I look at things that can scale really fast and really big.
Mm,
So if things make sense and I find a real need that I could fill, then I do that and then really have accelerated growth. I don't like investing like in real estate and you get 10% a year return or anything that just, is a very small return. I have a lot to accomplish, so I need something that will grow by 1,000, 2,000% a year instead of just 10%. So
mm,
slightly different. I take a lot more risks for more rewards.
mm. So you look to invest in businesses that's going to, scale.
Exactly.
Now, if you in the market of basically purchasing a profitable businesses, do you purchase businesses for scalability and high growth mode, or do you purchase that business to build this book of business up?
It's I'm very opportunistic. I usually don't even know I'm going to be in that business of that day. If I see something or think of something, then it's really just I just execute and go after that. So it's not anything really particular that surrounds the different things that I do. As long as it kind of fits my criteria of how fast it can scale, then I'll just jump and execute on that.
Mm. How do you feel about top line revenue in a profitable business versus EBITDA?
You need top line revenue and it does cost you to get there, but you have to really focus on one. You got to make that company profitable pretty quickly because there's a lot. You can't lose money for too long, or it just then it doesn't make sense. But if you can take a per unit economics and see that it does make money and you just have to scale it, then it's worth spending money on it. Like Amazon proved it. They lost money forever and they finally made money, but they had a model that they can see that would work. But if you early on can see that no matter what you do and you're looking at the per unit economics and it doesn't work, then the macro wise it'll never work either. So it's better to shift to something else that'll make sense.
Mm. Now, as being a successful entrepreneur, do you invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and crypto or Bitcoin?
No, I don't believe in crypto, bitcoins, and those things. I think those are just programs, not backed by anything. And that's just for trading. Uh, Again, I don't buy just stock just to go up. I do for a while. I do trade. If I trade, I'm a day trader. I'm in and out same day, and I'm one of the better traders. I think if you Google me, you'll see one of the press releases. I entered a competition just to prove the world I can, and I did like a 300% return in 3 months and broke all of the records for that big national trading competition. So I could trade, but it's only day trading, but never to just buy and hold the stock that I'm hoping will go up.
Mm. Wow. Now, for the entrepreneurs that are listening to you right now, they
Mm.
basically generating 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 500,000. They're generating 1 million or more. What would you say would be the blueprint for them to scale their business from $1 million to, let's say, $30 million in top line revenue?
Again, every business is different for that. I mean, if it's getting more financing to grow what they have, opening other locations, getting more investors to grow. I mean, I don't know if it's a single restaurant or if it's an app. I mean, it's everything is different, but it's really just saying to themselves, they want to get to $30 million, and once they really say that enough and believe they can get there, it's amazing the opportunities, the information, all that they start noticing it to be able to get there. But
Mm,
it's hard to do one. There's not one specific for one general thing for all businesses. It's just different depending what industry they're in.
mm. Ramy, let's talk about the power of using video. Now, I know years ago, Google bought YouTube for $1.6 billion. So video is hot right now. Can you explain to the audience the power of using video? Should entrepreneurs and business owners use video to expand their brand?
I think video is very powerful because people's attention span has gone down a lot, and for them to read things, it takes a lot longer. A really good video presentation or something will get people's attention and really sell what they really want, and they can say a lot more on a video. Like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, a video is worth even a lot more. So I think using video, but keeping it short enough, like under 5 minutes or 3 minutes, because people will lose interest pretty easily. So just make it exciting, straight to the point, and hit the bullet points that they think that their audience really want to hear.
Mm. So once people like you, respect you, and know you, that's when their minds are made up and they want to invest in you because you are your brand.
Yeah, if you're gonna have people invest in you, you have to prove yourself out that you can win, because people are always afraid of losing money and they want to invest with winners. So and people will know the difference between the way you talk and the enthusiasm you have, if you're a real winner or not. And they will, and the internet is around. Everybody can just Google and see if you've had success in the past or not, or if you're a con man or not.
Mhm.
So it's you do have to build a little bit of a track record.
So would you say that your brand is your promise?
Yeah, my brand is what I do, and I've had hundreds of businesses, and the only three businesses I ever failed were two businesses I didn't control, and one because of 9/11. So people know if they invest with me, that's no matter what, I'll just keep going until it's finally a winner, and I know how to pick winners. So people like investing with me, and their returns are really good. So I definitely don't have a shortage of people that really want to jump in the deal I do.
So as an entrepreneur and a business owner, it's basically good to enjoy everything, control everything, but own nothing.
No, owning is good too, but it's very important you control it, because if you know what you're doing, like I will never be in a deal that I don't control, because that the only two I lost was because I didn't control it. Is you have more motivation to make something win if it's yours than if somebody else, because they'll give up too soon, they make the wrong mistakes. So if you're competent, you should always control every deal you're in. You should never be a minority interest, unless you're really with somebody and you want to be a passive investor and you believe in what they do.
Mm, wow. Now, if you're in the market of purchasing, large, real estate portfolios, multifamily properties,
Mhm.
would you actually purchase those properties in a trust instead of your own name?
Yeah, trust the LLC, different things, because it's one layer of protection and stuff. I mean, I think trust is more if you're gonna be, and you think you're gonna die soon, or you might not live and stuff. But LLCs are really good, because I think everybody is doing LLCs because it's a pass through income. So whatever it does, you don't have to pay double taxes, but it gives you the layer of protection that you need if, like, something happens in that building and people sue people in that building for something. So.
Mm. Now, you own a lot of profitable businesses. Are
Mm.
you a bit advocate of, asset protection?
Yeah, but again, I'm very different than most people. I don't mind taking risks to get bigger. And so a lot of people invest to protect their assets, and they'd rather have less returns and make less money. But I personally, I'm a little bit of the opposite right now, until I don't know, one day if I think it's enough, but I don't think it'll be enough for a while.
Mm. Now, you pretty much created your own intellectual property, which is your phenomenal book, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich?
Mhm.
Would you say that your book is your business card?
I know it's the book is only about a year old, so I only wrote it last year. I mean, it's the book is there to inspire people and to prove to them that they can achieve it. My business card is just basically me, what I've done in the past, and my relationships I've built. But the book is more for people to really understand that hasn't done it and have all kinds of alibis to understand that there's really no excuses in the world to not really succeed.
Mm. Now, Ramey, for the entrepreneurs and business owners where they feel like they're stuck and, they just reached a certain threshold and they're trying to get past that threshold, what is the mindset that they have to adopt in regards to growing and getting to the next level?
Again, it's just thinking bigger and believing in it and take some risks. I mean, it's too easy to get comfortable in the position you're at and stuff, and not and be afraid that you're gonna lose it all if you try harder, if you take on more debt or different things. So you just have to be ready to work harder and believe that you can get there, and just you know just go for it. I mean, it's okay to be happy where you're at and they don't want to reach the next level. They're satisfied and they're happy.
Mm.
Different people measure happiness different ways. So it might be just good enough for where they're at and they don't need to do anymore. But if somebody really is going for much bigger, do bigger things, and you have to get rid of all fears and risk a lot more and believe in yourself.
Mm. Ramey, I appreciate you coming on my show today, and I appreciate you having this intercourse with me because the whole premise of my show is to educate entrepreneurs and business owners that they can live the life that they truly desire, but they have to be open to these important principles. So I don't like what I see what's on the news, so I create my own news.
It's just good. I don't watch the news myself.
Mm. Yeah, unfortunately, the news, their number one product is to keep people in fear.
Yeah, sure is not a good thing. It's very crippling.
Mm. Ramey, let's have a dialogue about what it truly takes to be an entrepreneur. Now, the word entrepreneur means entreprendre, and it was a Latin word, and it was invented in the 15th century in France. And a gentleman by the name of John Baptist, he invented the word, and over 300 years later, that word still exists, which is entrepreneur. So entre
Yeah.
means between, and pendre means to take. So it means to take lower productivity and increase it to higher productivity. Can you explain to the audience, how are you increasing your productivity in your current businesses?
One, you have to really, well, it takes increased productivity. You use all the technology, and then you need to allocate responsibility or to managers and stuff to expand what you're doing because you can't do everything yourself.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, I look at entrepreneur when I first, I don't know the history of the world, but entrepreneur for me is just basically that you're working for yourself, not for others. It's very hard to get rich for working for somebody else, and it's very limited. You're making them money than yourself. So to me, entrepreneurship is taking advantage of the capitalist system, working for yourself, and growing something and building the wealth for you instead of other people.
Mm. Wow. Now you mentioned that word capital. How do you feel about capitalism versus socialism?
I'm a big believer in the capitalist system. I mean, if you look at America, it's only 300 years old, and they wrote the Constitution. It's all a capitalistic system, and we've grown to become the richest and most powerful nation in the world. Even if you look at China, what they've done in the last 40, 50 years, it's really the capitalist side of them, not the communist side of them, that really grew to where now they're pretty much close to catching up to what America's done. So capitalism is very important because it motivates people because there's bigger rewards. If you're paid the same thing to make the same toaster and everybody's paid the same thing, you're not going to make a better toaster. But if there's a reward to make something better and innovate, then things will just expand and grow, and then you become much more successful. So you need that reward. You have to be able to win more if you do more. So capitalism does that for you.
Mm. Wow. So when you do more and achieve more, you can be more for others.
Yeah, for others, yourself, but it's just And you can't be limited to just whatever the state decides, like in a socialist or communist system, because then you'll just do the bare minimum. People are just naturally lazy. You'll do the bare minimum and not innovate. But
Mm,
capitalism helps to innovate and grow.
mm. Well, I love inspiring entrepreneurs on a local level, on a national, international level. And I love
Mm.
providing hope to entrepreneurs, and hope stands for helping other people excel.
Right. Yeah, that's
Mm,
just true. And people need to get motivated, but they can't be just motivated for a day. They have to live the life and really take it in and really make it part of their psyche, the way they think.
wow. Do you think for some entrepreneurs, that's their downfall in regards to they want to be, very, very successful, but they have, mental holding blocks that holds them back from, basically excelling to a whole nother level?
Yeah, everything is what you think, how you think. So
Mm,
that's why my book helps a lot, because not only do I, put in the principles of Think and Grow Rich, but I put an additional 28 principles and keys that I've learned through just doing it over 48 years. So
mm,
it's really just getting to that mentality of doing that. I mean, again, just that book, like just 5 6 years ago, I was broken, homeless, and had to rebuild again all over and rebuild to where what I am today. So again, I can go broke tomorrow and you can put me anywhere in the world. 6 months later, I'll have money all over again. So it's the way you think and understanding how to think, because the universe gives you all that information and you just have to be open to it. So I think somebody, if it's not my book, it's another book that makes you think differently.
mm. Wow. Now, I love your powerful title that you wrote for your book, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? Do
Mhm.
you generate a lot of royalties from your book?
I donate all the money I make because of that book and stuff to the Napoleon Hill Foundation. I didn't write that book to make money. I just wanted to write that book to inspire people. I make a lot more money what I do now. That book was just something I thought I need to give back to the world.
Wow. Now, I noticed that across the globe, they're not putting, real wealth building principles in the schools, high
Mhm.
schools, colleges, and I think they do need wealth building principles where, they can actually, teach, you know, kids and college kids about, wealth management, private equity, or family offices. How do you feel about that if that was a law where they can actually put that into fruition with putting, outside the box education in schools across the globe?
I think it would be great. I don't know, you could pass a law for that, but they do have mandatory books for reading. I think they should put mandatory books for, to inspire people to do more. I mean, the educational system is lacking in many ways. And I know the things that I've learned, I dropped out of high school, and the things I've learned just doing it, they'll never teach in school. I mean, what's in that book and what I do, no matter what college you go to, you'll never learn what I know.
Mm, wow. Now, how do you feel about wealth management and family offices? And are you participates in family offices?
I personally manage my own money. I mean, they're good. People put their money they don't want to be bothered about. I mean, you just have to make sure you have somebody that who manages your money that knows what they're doing. I mean, if you're going to trust your money to somebody else.
Mm, wow. Now, when you basically start to get into the industry of private equity, did you have a coach to really educate you about the different type of language we learn about private equity?
I don't know if about a coach. You just get in the industry and you talk to a lot of people and you read things and you're going to learn it on your own. I mean, it's not a very complicated thing. I mean, it's basically investing in companies, buying them, cheap enough, create more values, selling them one day. So it's not a very complicated thing, private equity.
Ramey, I wrote down some powerful words, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. So you can rate them in your own influential way. Are you ready?
Sure.
Perseverance.
Yeah, that's definitely a 10.
Value.
Yeah, that's a good 8.
Intellectual property.
That's a 6 or 7.
Money.
That's a 10. And money's important.
Wealth.
Again, to me, it's a 10, but
Health.
that's definitely a 10. You can't enjoy anything without it.
Building phenomenal relationships.
That's a 10 also.
Family.
To me, I was never close to my family, so that's more like a 7, 8. But to other people's, they're a 10, I'm sure.
Love.
Love is a good 7, 8 also.
Marriage.
Same thing, around about an 8 or 9. Yeah.
Top line revenue.
That's more a 5.
Business credit.
5 also.
EBITDA.
That's also around the same 5. Certain cases.
Building profitable businesses.
That's a good 7 or 8.
Expanding.
Also a good 7 or 8.
Marketing.
That's also right around there, 6, 7.
Branding.
Same thing, around 6, 7.
Fulfillment.
Same level, 6, 7.
Enjoyment.
You gotta enjoy what you do. That's a 10.
Happiness.
10.
Courage.
That's good, 8 or 9. Yeah.
Taking action.
That's a 10. Yeah.
Satisfied.
That's probably 6.
Key performance indicators.
6 or 7.
All right, that was good. That was real good, Ramy. Can you explain to the audience exactly where they can find you?
They can have social media, but on my site, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? They're gonna email me at info. Can you really think and grow rich? And that email will get to me. But and they can buy the book there also, or Amazon also.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend get involved with the phenomenal Ramy and go to his website, canyourreallythinkandgrowrich.com, and make the initial investment and invest in his book. His book is absolutely phenomenal, and it will definitely teach you the wealth building principles, how you can take your mindset and your courage to a whole nother level. Ramy, entrepreneurs and business owners are actually basically, shaping the whole world. Right. And I know before Steve Jobs passed away, he had $117 billion in the bank cash, liquid, because him and Steve Wozniak, his partner, among other entrepreneurs, they helped build the Apple brand to a whole nother level within 5 years before he passed away. What would you say was the nucleus to take that Apple brand to a whole nother level, what Steve Jobs did?
He was a visionary. You have to think outside the box and do more than just what everybody else is doing. So Steve Jobs was a real visionary. I mean, you can see Apple now, they haven't really came up with any new products. They're just rehashing the old ones since he died. He came up with something new all the time.
Wow. Now, how do you feel about what Elon Musk is doing in the space industry? Now, he's basically wants to create a whole new civilization on Mars, and he wants to take 1 million people up to Mars. How do you feel about what he wants to accomplish with moving forward with that being on his agenda?
I mean, everybody have different goals. It's a big goal. I don't know if he could accomplish that in his lifetime. Million people to Mars is going to take a very long time. I mean, SpaceX is a really good company. You know, he did a good job getting in contract with NASA. I mean, he makes money by putting satellites up there, but you know, the challenges of moving 1 million people to Mars is going to cost a lot of money. And I don't know how long it's going to take, but I don't think he's going to make it happen in his lifetime.
Mm. Now I know he got pretty much involved with Tesla. How do you feel about the Tesla car brand?
It's a great brand. That's why I use my company. I mean, he was a leader. He made everybody really think about they have to be EV. I mean, every car maker is now trying to copy him and follow him. So he was a pioneer in that, and he was there 10, 12 years ago and led that when everybody didn't believe he could. So just where he made the bulk of his wealth. So I have to hand it to him that he believes in what that vision is and what the future should be, and he went after it, and and keeps on improving what he's doing. But it's the number one selling electric car in the world, and definitely in America.
Mm. Can you elaborate to me and the audience? I want to know, how do you feel about market growth versus market innovation?
I mean, they go hand in hand. I mean, if you innovate, you grow. I mean, if you're stagnant, you don't. So it's kind of the same.
Mm. All righty. Now, I'm looking at your beautiful scenery behind you, and I know you're calling in from LA. And can you explain to the audience, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, very similar focus. I'm a workaholic, but I enjoy what I do. I mean, building businesses like putting puzzles together, and so it's a fun game. So I do that for fun. I mean, I do, you know, I play tennis, play poker, socialize with friends, travel. But businesses to me is fun.
Mm. Wow. And what's the private jet that you currently are traveling the world in right now?
Yeah, it's an MD-87. It's a wide body jet, so gets me anywhere in the world pretty much nonstop, pretty quick.
And how many people does it hold?
19.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, you got to, that's a big private jet right there.
It's like a flying apartment. It's got its own bedroom, shower, living room, dining room, kitchen. It's a great plane.
Mm. Wow. Now, in terms of the fuel, is that pricey?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the most expensive part of it, and especially where crude oil is right now and everything. So, yeah, it's definitely the biggest cost.
Mm. Okay. But I guess, in terms of taxes, you can, write the whole private jet off in terms of, depreciation value.
Okay, this still costs a lot of money. You still have to have money to have one.
Mm. Wow. Ramey, you have a special gift. And, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we all had talents and gifts that we must tap into because they are God-given gifts. Would you say that the purpose of living is giving?
Yeah, I mean, it's different stages of life. At the beginning is building, and then when you get to a level, you have to give back. So because you can't take it with you.
Mm. Now, you are on the boards of several businesses across the globe.
Mhm.
What would you say that you're most proud of in regards to the business that you have helped build or the business that you have built from scratch?
No, there's a lot of them. I mean, even my current business right now, even mobility, where we put Teslas in apartment buildings and hotels and amenity. That's one that can scale really big. Really proud of that. So I guess building that one is the number one thing I'm proud of right now.
Mm. How do you feel about brainstorming groups? And do you think entrepreneurs and business owners should formulate more brainstorming groups?
Yeah, I mean, in thinking or what's it called, mastermind. When you have two or more people talking about things, it creates a third mind. I mean, it's like how they wrote the Constitution. None of them could have done by themselves. So those founding fathers got together and created a hell of a document. So it's very good to brainstorm with other people.
Now, are you involved in brainstorming groups yourself?
Not people I trust that I talk that I can expand things with.
Wow. Now, I know Facebook pretty much owns Instagram, and Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email marketing, YouTube. I look at these platforms as delivery systems. How do you feel about the delivery systems? And do you think that these apps are going to, expand to a whole nother level within the next 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, these apps and social media and all that are growing. I don't know. They keep on finding ways of really monetizing it more and more, but I think there's a lot of influence from them that are not really that positive, and causes a new generation to be a little bit lazier, trying to compare themselves. Also, looks wise that is not reachable. It's just there's good out of it. I mean, it's great for marketing and stuff, but it definitely, I think, it affects more the younger people, not in the best of ways.
Mm, mm, okay. Now, this is basically a vision of mine.
Mhm.
And I can actually see, entrepreneurs and business owners where they learn about wealth management, scaling businesses, private equity. And I can actually see, video courses that are actually on the Netflix platform. How would you feel about entrepreneurs and business owners learning about wealth building principles, but they actually seeing it in the comfort of their own home on the Netflix platform?
I mean, any platform, if you can learn from it, is great. So if it's Netflix or any platform, I mean, I've watched stuff on Netflix about the great industrialists of our past and stuff, and how they built the nation between steel and railroads and stuff. I mean, this, as long as you watch the right things that inspires you, not the stuff that's really negative and doesn't really do anything for you.
Mm. Now, do you personally invest in gas and oil fields? And how do you feel about the oil industry?
I don't. I mean, right now, that's a very profitable industry. Crude oil prices are up, so there's a lot of people who invest in that. I mean, it's not something I would invest in, but it's not something I'm in right now.
Mm. Wow. Now, I know that the electric cars is a phenomenal industry to invest in. How do you feel about the entrepreneurs and business owners that invest in electric cars? And do you feel as though that the shareholders has a major responsibility to make sure that the investors get their money back that helped them expand that industry?
You know, anybody takes money from anybody, have a responsibility to their investors and the shareholders. I mean, they bought that stock, they invested to make money. So anybody who takes money and has to do the very best and make sure that these people, that money is returned with a profit, and the vision they sold, that they are following through. I mean, it's understandable if things don't work out, but it has to be, not for lack of trying. I mean, anybody takes money and just wastes it and doesn't care about their investors, it's not going to last very long.
Mm. Let's just say, for example, if all of your money is just vanished today,
Mhm.
and let's just say you was dropped off from a airplane and you landed in the beautiful Hawaii, what would you do differently to accumulate your wealth?
I'll do the same way. I'll just find a need that's over there and fill it. That's the whole thing about building wealth. You find a need and fill those needs. And then, so I have to sit there in Hawaii and see what needs there are that can really accelerate growth and do that.
Mm. Wow.
Mhm.
Now, when you're on the boards of the businesses that you are engaged in right now,
Mhm.
Do you think that entrepreneurs and business owners need to create their own value proposition to make sure that that business can, excel to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, do something different, do more. Yeah, you definitely have to create value propositions for what you're gonna do.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm
And
also sorry to mention. Uh, I do have other meetings I have to go to, and I know we've been
okay.
talking for an hour, and I hate to cut it short. I'm enjoying this,
All
but
right.
but if you the last few questions that you need to ask me before we go, that would be great.
All right. Do you have any last pearls of wisdom for the audience?
Yeah, I mean, mainly just really believe in themselves and believe they can achieve whatever they decide to, and not be afraid of doing them, and not and ignore anybody's criticism that tell them they can't, because most people are afraid of other people's criticism, and it stops them. So just to kind of forget what anybody says and just do exactly what you want to do, and just never stop.
Mm. And can you explain to the audience one more time exactly where they can find you and exactly how they can actually invest in the book?
Okay. Yeah, if you go to my site, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? And it's info at Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? You can get the book there, and you can connect with me, or you could buy the book on Amazon also if you just want to buy the book.
Mm. Ramy, I'd like to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about wealth building principles and about your phenomenal book, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? I gladly appreciate it. You are a gift from God.
Thank you. Thank you. Real compliment. Thank you very much. Good to be on.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, I highly recommend getting involved with the phenomenal Ramy. You hit the passion that came through his voice on my show today. He broke down layman's terms about wealth building principles, and I highly recommend make the initial investment and invest in his book. The title of the book, which I love it, Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? And go to his website, and he has wealth building principles that could take your mindset and your confidence to a whole nother level. But remember, you have to implement what you learn. Knowledge is now power. The implementation of knowledge, that's what makes it become powerful. So to everyone that's listening and watching right now, remember the strongest asset that each and every one of you have is your brain, and what you think about and what you take action on, that will become your reality, and your mentality creates your reality. May God bless each and every one of you. And bye for now. Thank you, Ramy. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you conveying value to my audience.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I appreciate you.
You too. Bye.
And bye for now.